Hi, Gabrio. How are you doing today?
I'm very good, Jay. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, brilliant to have you. Thanks for joining me, making the time this morning. So just to quickly introduce myself and Gabrio, I'm Thandi from Solis Recruitment, specialising in digital and marketing recruitment, covering the UK, Europe and the Middle East. I'm joined by Gabrio from Rock SEO today. Gabrio, we've been speaking for quite a while, and I think recently we've been kind of reconnected since you've kind of been looking into AI and conversational search.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a while since actually I left the UK. I'm still involved with the UK businesses in general, but I'm no longer residing there per se. But the UK has always a special place for me, especially London. But yes, it's true. We recently reconnected. So I've been in organic search for about 15 years in various roles over the years, leading teams and then also running my own thing, which is essentially what I'm doing now. I am founder and director at Rock SEO, which is my growth consulting company.
Yeah, and I think kind of recently as well, because we've been speaking about this and I've been asking lots of questions about conversational search, but you recently went on a podcast as well, didn't you, to kind of speak about what to talk about kind of how conversational search and AI and Rocky SEO, Rocky 4 has come about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a latest podcast that I've done with my business partner, Cien Solon. And yeah, we discussed why conversation-led marketing should be prioritized. And we expanded on a number of topics there, which we think are quite important for, owner of companies, director of marketings, and similar types, because these things are changing, and we think people don't really know what is the potential out there essentially. So we guided them through a journey of discovery essentially, so to the birth of Rocky 4 effectively, which was a new thing I created this summer. Yeah.
Which is an exciting venture. Should we do this? Should we go back through kind of yourself, your history, and kind of what your expertise is? Then kind of talk about the evolution of search, because search has changed so much and you've been in the industry for such a long time. You've probably seen it evolve over those years. So from where search was to where it is now, and then we'll go through kind of what conversational search actually is, because it's still a term which I feel like I kind of understand, but it's still kind of an abstract concept, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, that's also true. I mean, it's a ever changing thing. So I think from when times that I started working effectively, we were kind of living the old search engine days, if you will, which were the Yahoo, the Excite, the Alta Vista. For who's been here long enough, probably the younger generation have no idea what these were. You have to go check it out. Where websites were keyword stuffed to moving towards transactional type of websites where people started to get online essentially, and since then things have been changing, right? So we went through again the type of keyword stuffing where we were putting all your keywords in the footer, trying to rank to the trying to clean things up. Then we went to mobile. I know I'm skipping a lot of things here, but in between many things happen. So then we went to the mobile optimization, then to the understanding better the queries and the user and the search intent. And then I think this was actually a cornerstone, just to use a buzzword here, where Google always tried to catch up, because the truth is we've been always asking the search engines questions, and the search engine has always had to understand what the heck we meant. And the earlier search engines had no clue completely. Google got much better and better over time, and with the competition there. But now I think the game changed once again. So I think fundamentally, all the search engines always are trying to understand what we mean with things, and they don't always get it right. And I think this is also why there's such a game changer now on where things are going, because I think there's the next step of evolution. And also ultimately users don't really care which solutions they're using as long as they get the results they want. So back then when we switched from the Yahoo and Alta Vistas to Google, it was better, it was a better solution at that time. So I think Google and the other traditional engines are no longer the best solution now. That's why all the new things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
suppose it's kind of hard in my mind to picture Google being replaced to a certain extent, because it's an adjective. Like, for quite a long time, I mean, you'd be sitting in a pub having a beer, somebody will raise something, and you're like, no, that's not true.
yeah.
Google it. You'd say Google,
Google
it.
it.
Yeah, you don't say
Yeah.
search it, you say Google it. So, I mean, when it comes to that, and I think what's interesting was over the past kind of 2 years, a younger generation's search behavior had changed from being on Google to now going onto social media. So they'd be on Instagram or TikTok and carrying out their searches there. So is it more fundamentally the way people are now searching for information has shifted?
Yeah, I think people are getting used to getting also personalized results and getting exactly what they want. And I have some examples here. For example, on conversational type of searches. So just I want to read this one. So people now might search something like this: what are the best boutique hotels in South Kensington that offer a cozy fall experience near attractions like the Natural History Museum and Hyde Park, perfect for a couple's weekend getaway? This is a long, big query, right? And this is experience based. So I think people are not 100% tuned to this, but they are searching this way and they have the expectations to have relevant results for this. And these type of searches will outshine something like London hotels in South Kensington near National History Museum. Very boring and basic in a way. And you might go, hey, but the search engine will still strip down your full, exactly what you meant. But effectively, when you have an experience and you're searching for that particular type of thing, the result in the traditional search engines are very poor right now. Try doing that long search in Google. It's awful. Sorry to say, Google people there, but it's not going to be really anything good at all. You have to refine a number of times until you find all the information. And here I ask him a few things. So I ask, okay, boutique hotel, cozy fall experience near attraction, so 2, location proximity, and then 3, perfect for a couple's weekend getaway. So 3 big things there, and they're all merged into one. Now when you think about the way we talk, and this is why I think the conversational side is so powerful, if I were to talk to you on the phone, I would ask you that, and you'll immediately understand what I meant, right? So this is why I think this actually is more aligned to the natural conversation. And this is what we mean with conversational search, is the natural language, the way we converse with each other, which is being shifted into the way we search. And if you combine that and bring relevant results, people will love your content essentially and love your website rather than all the fluff content. This is another thing. All the fluffy content, fluff, will have to go right now. We have so much filler content. So I think this is also an evolution for brands and businesses. Once again, you have to redo your content strategy. Once again, I know it's tiring and crazy, but with these trends changing, if you want to capture on this stuff, you have to think again at your content strategy, because another truth is that the various new tools will only give you great results if your content matches that. So we're perfectly aware that, oh, you search this and the results are bad. Yeah, but how's your content on the website? Do you match this type of new searches? So people are searching in different ways. How's your content around that? So because on the one hand, I hear all SEOs screaming from the rooftops, oh, results are poor quality, oh, it's bad, the cutoff, etc., etc. Yeah, but have you done a new type of content strategy? No. Brands still have a Google content strategy, and then they think, oh, the results on the ChatGPT are crap. Yeah, hello, that's of course bad, because you have not refined content strategy appropriately. So this is such a evolving thing but this is what we're trying to do actually with our new strategy there. And I'm quite heavy on education, information, trying to get this information out. But yeah, in principle, I think evolves and around the way we discuss with each other. And the more I think the new engines, etc., will understand us better, then the feedback and the user satisfaction will be better. Whichever the industry. I made a travel example, one last thing, but this can apply to, for example, enterprise SaaS software, etc. Go straight to the point. People will have specific queries. I have a team of 27 people based in 20 countries. We work remotely, asynchronously. What is the best way to connect to each other and manage their performance reviews? I want to do this effectively. I have a budget of £1,000 a month, something.
Yeah.
Again, this is another conversational query an HR professional might want to search for. And our SaaS software love content, and there's so much long form articles out there. But are they conversational? So I throw this one out there.
Okay, and then I suppose when it comes to this, because then would businesses still need that SEO strategy to go alongside conversational search? Do they work together? Is it two separate strategies? I mean, because it's still a kind of slightly vague concept, if that makes sense, because I get your point about when you're searching for kind of things on Google, like you're not always getting the best result. And how do you then kind of build a strategy that gets you your traffic through Google, but then also caters for the people who are using AI tools such as kind of Gemini or Gemini, ChatGPT, or Bard, or any of them. There's so many now.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I guess you can sort of run them. I wouldn't say parallel, but for some time you will need the data from your old strategy effectively. But I think once you want to embrace this, I don't think you'll have any more traditional type of strategy. But this is why personally we do it on a bespoke basis. So we don't provide a package solution for this new conversational search strategy. It's very much on bespoke basis. So it's on a case to case. We analyze the businesses, essentially what are the goals, objectives, their target groups, and then we provide the best solution. So what I always say is that businesses need a conversational search strategy, which is not a Google strategy. So to answer your question, I don't want to say the usual words as you say, but it does depend on, again, what are you trying to leverage here? Because if brand is very strong, you might still get traffic from Google and it converts very well for you. So you might go, why do I need a conversational strategy now? But if you have new products, new features on the discovery stuff, essentially, then I think you do need the conversational stuff because people will search differently, or the experience type of queries. So it could go hand in hand. And then once again, there are different cases there. I would say it depends by the brand, really. So I know it's a not very precise question, but it does depend by the brand's objectives and targets and stuff.
I suppose then if it was something that, let's say, for instance, an e-com retailer, they've kind of got a new product line coming out for, let's say, spring 2025. Would they then need to kind of create that content that's talking about the benefits of that for search, or would it require a slightly more, I'm guessing it needs a more nuanced approach, but just in vague terms, because, if anybody's kind of listening to this and wants to kind of understand how does it actually impact their business, and is it better for SaaS businesses, retailers, automotive, what kind of industries are going to get the best benefit out of this?
Yeah, I think all those that can have an experience based on are strong on customer with personalizations and specific requests, if that makes sense. So e-com, for example, is a strong one. So fashion, there's a very brilliant integration made by a company called Prezi, and they have an example on our Rocky 4 page where they have a specific assistant which can integrate in your shopping experience, and you can ask anything you want pretty much. So you can sort of use this in interacting with you during your customer visit as if you were using the search on the e-com website. So you can even, looking for specific queries there. So yeah, I think for e-coms and fashion, for example, retailers, this is quite huge. You can imagine, for example, Carrie's a PC World selling TVs, very specific things you might go, because let's say, okay, I'm moving into a new house. I have a room size this and this. I want a TV thin this much, and I want to spend £950. Again, experience-based query. You have a new house. You want to look good. Again, is a type of experience-based query. So once again, conversational. So, and can apply to a variety of things. Cars, for example, cars. Selling. High-end cars. I was thinking one would be great. Travel, hotels. All those are, I think, perfect examples. The health and medical. You have to be a bit careful there with the topics, obviously, but there can be also applications there, or luxury experiences as well. So there's all sorts of verticals, in my opinion, have a strong application for this. And it's also up to the, who's the director there, the head of marketing, having a bit of vision and saying, hey, this is coming. We need to do something about, or at least one, be aware, or perhaps do some tests. Because I think we're still at a stage where brands don't see that this is coming, and they want actually the hard data, which we don't have as much data available as traditional search at the moment. But the new solutions are coming. So there are also, providers which are looking at the amount of searches happening conversationally for a certain type of query, still in development. And based on that, you can say, hey, this was your data before you did the strategy, and this is your data after. So this is what you're being now experiencing. You have this many new conversational searches. This is still evolving. And then you go, hey, this is the improvement. This is what we spent. So you can sort of tie to an ROI figure, which I know is one of your next questions, right? Which is not a simple answer here.
Yeah, I mean, because, all businesses are always going to think about kind of what's that return on investment. But before even going on to that, I think, where do you see the most opportunity? Do you see it as small businesses, mid-sized businesses, large organizations? Because all three can adopt this, but I suppose who would benefit best? Would it be for a small challenger brand that needs to kind of grow and compete against bigger businesses, more established competition, and needs to kind of redefine their brand in a different way? It's because they're never going to kind of, it'll take a lot of work and a lot of investment to get to number one on Google, unless they're taking kind of a, long tail kind of keyword search approach. And again, they're not getting as much traffic.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are some of the applications for the smaller ones, and there's definitely advantage. But I think most of all is the first mover advantage. So I think even for bigger brands, they will already have a gain, and when they start from a strong domain, that's already something that will help them. And I mean, in general, brands have to look at a number of things right now, which are, I have here a few notes. So crawlability, indexability is super important for this new type of strategies. Mentions, very, very important, whether you're linked or not linked. Removing the fluff and the schema, essentially. These are the four core topics, and then creating a conversational strategy with the queries. So, but I think, for me, there are applications on all the three businesses that you mentioned, small, medium, and large, effectively. The question is how much what will take for a bigger organization to buy into this, understanding and redoing an entirely content strategy. So I think the smaller ones have a bit of advantage because they can be a bit more nimble and agile, if that makes sense, where they can action things quickly, and probably they're more open to change. Because let's say we went to Coca-Cola, and I will tell them, hey, you guys, scrap your total strategy, completely content strategy, redo everything. That will be a bit of friction there unless I have a strong buy-in. Say the director of marketing believes in AI and conversational, and then we can sort of get into that. So I think for this lack of trust, if you want, for new stuff, in general, I think the small to medium ones are perhaps the best ones for this.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure if there's information out there already, but I know a lot of people I know use AI now, whether that's, like ChatGPT's probably still the leader in this at the moment, but more and more people are now paying for it because it offers some kind of value, whether, it's to help them kind of organize things, whether it's to kind of think about things. So do you know how many people are actually kind of using it? And then what that could kind of open up in that potential too? Or do you see, as society's kind of evolving, AI will become more integrated within our daily lives?
Well, I was just reading a statistic not long ago, and according to Semrush data, there are about 400 million users, monthly users, on Search GPT and ChatGPT. And with the recent announcement that all the free accounts now have access to the search functionality, I think this opens quite a large opportunity there, because now more brands can leverage this, and essentially people are searching real-time data. Because just to make it relatively simple, until not too long ago, all the various models have a cutoff date, which means their knowledge was limited to a certain point. And if your brand of business was sort of, let's say, crawled or analyzed by that date, then you will be in the knowledge. He had sort of a memory, they call it memory as well. But now with the search functionality switched on, essentially this is no longer the case, because they will access what you have on the website, the type of content you have there. And there's also one quite of like a smart way of using this. Sometimes I switch on the search, then I search what I want in the live content, and then I switch it off and I refine it, and then it makes sort of an additional refinement. This is if you use ChatGPT, but all the other tools are catching up on this functionality. So again, this means that it will capture live content and go on your website effectively, which we can also connect with what you're mentioning earlier, the social stuff, because social media essentially is more immediate, and brands might not want to wait. Hey, this strategy will take a number of months to be live, and until we fix it, but they want things very quickly. So we can leverage the data from socials to feed into our new content strategy, the conversational, and then it's like a continuous feedback loop. And then we can refine the social strategy when we get more data from these strategies, right? So this is why I like it. It's particularly powerful. So when brands are particularly strong on socials, we can definitely use the data to be faster in implementation here, and vice versa. So again, so many applications here, and yeah, it's just my head is exploding sometimes. And with the amount of, at some point you have to say, okay, enough. I'm not going to read anymore, because this thing will never stop. So it's both great, and at the same time sometimes it's just too much. But that's the times we live in.
And just for me to make sure that I've actually properly understood that. So say, for instance, if you know the audience is searching for the same query on social, you can then build up your search strategy in relation to that.
Yeah, because in the social circles, specifically, people have a tendency to write longer, right? They write conversationally, and they use natural language. So we can leverage those type of queries to find, hey, your users are active on this space, and they want this type of information from your brand. Do you have the same things on your website? If not, what we can do could be FAQs, could be schema, a number of things, and then refining the content strategy. So I mean, probably many brands are doing this already, but I don't think they're looking at this in a conversational way, as in by using the data from your social interactions, you change your content strategy on the website, because you'll find similar queries from the search tools, the AI ones. So you can sort of amplify your whole brand presence there. And I think that's quite powerful.
Yeah, it'll be a game changer, and it means every business now needs to kind of reevaluate what it's doing. What about, say,
And
for the
if social, sorry to interrupt, the social, some brands might have a great social presence, and the website maybe is not as good, or also opposite as well. So if something is doing well, it doesn't mean you have to redo your socials, right? It's just, hey, you're doing great, but then let's leverage that. That was the point.
Yeah. And what about the smaller businesses, let's say, the ones who aren't going to be as strong on social, won't have as big a following, because I suppose they can still see what's trending and what people are searching for. But would you say that they've got probably more of an opportunity by kind of being early adopters to this? Do you reckon that they can then grow more, or do you kind of feel it's more for a mid-sized business or large business with more budget to invest?
I think it's two things. One, the budgets, two, the data, right? Because smaller businesses, especially someone, let's say, new brand coming on playing in the play field, they will not have as much data available. And so the way we can expand on this is using data available, right? So you have to use trends, other third-party tools, competitors' data, etc. I mean, you can still do it, but I think that will be the challenge there because of the lack of existing data which we can then build on effectively. And then how much you can grow, that also will depend on your budgets, but I think it's more the lack of available data, what you have to optimize on and improve. But there's always some interaction. I think businesses sometimes don't know how much data they have until you ask them, right? And
Yeah.
I say, hey, but you have emails, maybe you have a CRM, you have some data, something, or from previous whatever business you were doing years ago. So there's always some data there, and then I think you can build on that. So this is also another aspect I like because it's very creative, if you will. So you can always have a new type of proposition in general and explore that side. So that's also what excites me, the creativity in this.
I suppose, and then I suppose with your background being in SEO and now kind of incorporating the conversational search side in with it. I mean, where do you see the most potential? Because I know SEO is still evolving; it's constantly evolving. Do you see them as kind of two sides of the same coin, or do you feel that they're completely different?
Well, I think let's say the technical side of things still will be important in any way. But in a way, at this point, we sort of assume all websites work relatively well, right? In 2024, although there's always something not working, crawlability, etc. But you assume the base is there, especially in the more advanced, let's say, countries, sort of. So I think it's still gonna be important, but it becomes once again content driven now. Once again, because there was a time where tech SEO was the prime, and also there was what I really enjoyed back then. There are very complicated websites with deep navigation things, very complex, which some things I cannot follow anymore because you cannot follow everything anymore. It's becoming, every area is so focused that it's very difficult to be 100% on everything. So I try to be, of course, up to date on things, but there are some things you need a specialist. Also in my team, I do get, when I need specific help, I do get extra help because just can't. So I think that's also going back to the question on, I think they go hand in hand, but once again, there's another stronger focus on content specifically. And then the big, massive websites will always have some architectural situations there. So I don't think it will completely be gone. There's no SEO is dead. It's just evolving. We should have been under the ground for I don't know how many times by now, right? So
Yeah. I mean, it's constantly evolving because behavior is constantly evolving and changing
exactly.
as well.
And
And then,
solutions are changing. And what you mentioned earlier, the expectations, people, I think especially the younger generations, they have expectations that to get that personalized answer. I was speaking with my good friend Jim Stewart, and he was mentioning that we're going to the Jarvis situation, for Iron Man, right? That where you have
yeah,
your assistant and you're asking him things and you trust him 100%, and whatever you ask him, he will give you back. So you give it information or retrieval, is great. So just go with it. So that's a bit scary at the same time, because also completely trusting these new tech solutions is always, I think, scary. But when you see the practicality, and I think we can touch on voice now, I think that's also another great area to explore.
yeah, because I suppose people are now starting to kind of search via voice. I mean, Google's so the new Google phone that's incorporated voice search into it. I've seen the advert for that. So
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
a
and
trend?
I mean, this also, connects to the tools, Perplexity, the ChatGPT, SearchGPT, etc. So we can use, I mean, for a while, but then I don't know how many people even use this. You can use your voice to ask things conversationally. So you do two things in this most smooth way possible. I mean, smoothest way possible, because it's like we're talking right now. I can literally ask him things, and then he will sort of interpret and understand what I want essentially. And this was always active in Google, but in my opinion, it was not really good for a number of years. And SEOs have been talking about voice search, for the past, I think, 5 years. When you ask them for, what's coming next year, they will always go and say, hey, voice search is coming.
I think voice search has been around since Alexa.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, probably. Yeah. And it was a selling point for your teams. Okay, for vision next year, voice it will be big. Yeah.
But I think everybody imagined, because there was for quite a few years, everybody would have a device in their home, and it'd just be Alexa, blah blah blah. But I don't think it quite hit the heights everybody expected.
Yeah.
AI, I don't think is going to start fading away, because people are using it on a more daily basis. It's becoming kind of slightly integral to the way people are living lives, and just I know lots of people who just play around with AI to kind of see what it can do, and then they end up going down rabbit holes. So,
yeah, that's right. But in the voice, I make a small example. Well, for the most part, I type. I'm Italian. I like writing, and I'm a bit maybe long and prolific there. But for when we drive, we go to Italy for trips, which is not too far from my HQ here. Sometimes I get ideas. Obviously, with your own business, you always get ideas, right? So sometimes I don't want to type them, and I have my phone there, so I will talk to the assistant there, and it's just incredible. So I got more used to this, and the way he interprets your voice is incredible. So I think this is definitely evolving when people understand, hey, I can, let's say, plan a trip and describe what I want to do with my friends and whatever. I want to do this in this place, this budget, help me out, plan my trip. I think this was one of the earlier experiments we did with Cien while creating the strategy this summer. And the results were just incredible, because the time is saved. I mean, okay, we're always pressed for time, but it's also the quality of the results, because again, on a very detailed experience-based search, personalized for you, you can get great results. And then the AI also can go into the personalization. You can decide to share extra data. People say, hey, privacy, but at the same time, you can decide what you share. There's for example, a memory option. I don't know if you know this. You can enable memory or not enable. Memory means it will remember previous conversations you ask him during the time you use the account. If it is disabled, you will appear a new person every time. But if I ask my ChatGPT, who is Rocky, he knows it's my dog, for example, because I talked to him a few times, and we describe things, and he's my mascot for the strategy, by the way. So he knows that, hey, who is Rocky? So he's Rocky hungry. And he will reply sometimes funny as well. So I think this type of interactions are definitely opening up, but I don't know if people know about this type of things. They can search voice conversational voice search, essentially, which I think opens up even more opportunities, because typing maybe a long queries, people might go, oh, but people will not type so long, but they will speak so long.
It's true. And yeah, people feel more comfortable talking than typing. And then I suppose when it comes to kind of AI and search, because I know a lot of people are going down the chatbot avenue, is that something that you kind of focus on as well? Is that something you think is also crucial to businesses to have on their websites?
Well, this is again what we do on a more bespoke basis, and this is one area my business partner Cien, she's great on this type of things, because we can sort of look a case to case and decide what is the best solution for each business. We will not recommend flat out, hey, everybody needs to have a chatbot. It does depend what are the objectives of a business. One of my clients, for example, we have an inquiry flow where users are dropping at point 1 and 2 of their inquiry flow, and we wanted to capture those inquiries and understanding better, what are the friction points. So we created a custom chatbot based on conversational search to capture those leads dropping, essentially, for then also refreshing our content strategy based on that. Now, this will launch in January, it's still quite new, but we've been beta testing that. So this was one of the solutions. And again, that's part of the analysis process we do in the AI marketing strategy, where we see what is the best solution for each business. It could be streamlining processes, or reducing costs by doing XYZ. Or again, if they want to capture additional leads and queries and understanding their customers better, then yes, then we recommend a chatbot or another type of hybrid solution there. So solutions are relatively easy. It's more the thinking. So it's not that, hey, yeah, we're doing everything with the AI and we don't think anymore, because some people are really afraid of this in general. Hey, it's taking all our jobs. So yeah, it did take many jobs, I have to say, in general, and it is scary. We have seen a lot of people losing their job, unfortunately, this year and last year, which is terrible. But there's still um, opportunities there where people need to be creating solutions, which then will leverage the solutions available. So I said solutions twice, but we need to create strategies that leverage the new solutions available, and those are Copilot integrations or shopping assistant, etc. So that's what we do. Essentially, we want to create a strategy which makes sense for each business. But chatbots are great, and they learn. You train them on your internal knowledge, and if you have a big brand, that will be longer process to do than a smaller one. So the scope can vary quite a lot there.
By training it effectively, it should help take a customer down the funnel quicker.
Yeah, and you decide, because people think, hey, this will also, hey, take all our customer service calls, etc. But you have the power. You do this. You, as a brand owner, you decide what information you want him or her. I call him him. I think is male version anyway. You decide what the chatbot you want to answer. You want to help them with like a first touch points. You want to again bring them down the funnel. You want to get them to call you to get only qualified calls. You can use them for many purposes. So the brand will have to have a decision on what the scope will be. This is why it's important also when we talk to clients to have that feedback from clients. So normally you do prepare a first version of the Copilot, then the team of the brand, also for who's listening to this, if you decide to have a Copilot, your feedback is very important, because you know your brand better than we do. And for me to learn about your brand, it will take months. You are the one with the keys. So a brand owner should give, or director of marketing or whoever is in the team, we do expect to get some feedback there, refine, do some tests before the Copilot goes live, because as people know, it can go wild, right? It can hallucinate, do weird stuff. So
you actually do all the training. And how long does that process usually take then? Would it be like 3 months you expect to be able to kind of then train it and for it to go live, 6 months, a year? How long does it normally take?
it's more about how many interactions the Copilot has to do, and how much information we're feeding it with, and how many edge cases we have.
Yeah.
It's very, I would say 1 month is the minimum for putting it live, and then the refinement can take longer, because at some point you have to go live. That's the thing. You cannot wait. Okay, oh, what about that case? Oh, Maria came up with that question. Then you never end. So you need to go live at some point, which again, I think a month should be enough for setting up. And then what I recommend, monthly, you can refine. So you can have a look at your customer interactions. You can decide to anonymize or not, depending by what you want to do. You can see the type of questions which were asked, and then you can refine the instructions to the chatbot, so it will answer differently. If you saw, for example, hey, this question was not so good, so we need to refine it, and you go and create a new input there. So it's a more of a constant feedback loop, and this is something we do give training to internal teams. This is something I would recommend an internal team to do. You don't need me or my company consultancy to do this. It will be also more expensive for a brand for having me doing this. So what I like to do this is to train the internal teams of companies on this process, and then it's relatively simple to provide the instructions to a chatbot, but yeah, you need to know what you're doing, what is the end goal, and all that. So I think this is also to empower internal teams once again to do, hey, no, we're not stripping away all your jobs. We're giving you different tasks on this, which will then give you better data, because at the end of the day, company wants to have great data. They want the right users. They want someone that can spend X amount for their products. So they don't want someone, hey, no, this costs X. No, I'm not interested. Those are unqualified users. This is what we've been doing for my client. They have a certain price point, and we don't want people that are either not interested totally in what they're offering, or they cannot spend what they are proposing as a solution. So it's very, I think, interesting in general.
Yeah, and I think kind of that last question, because you've mentioned like some of the work that you're doing with clients and stuff, and I think a good way to round it off, because with yourself as well, say for instance a business has got a global audience or you're working with a global client, how do you kind of train that model to work with audiences and behaviors from across different territories? Because I'm guessing even in SEO, the search intent would be different when you're going across different international regions. And I'm guessing this is quite a complex, it requires probably a more complex answer, but is there a way to explain that?
Actually, it's a great question, but I think the answer is relatively simple there, because what you can do, and but I will just mention the company of Cien, Launch Lemonade, which is amazing for creating custom agents or AI copilots. You can have a copilot for each country, for example. You can create different setups very simply and create custom bespoke instructions based on your target market. Because, for example, in the US, the target audience might behave this and this way, in the UK, in Italy, etc. So you could have a different co-pilot. It doesn't have to be one which has to interpret literally everything, and then you will get something wrong. So this is a great use case I didn't think of at the same time. So if I were to have a multinational client and they want to have a co-pilot with this use case, I would recommend, hey, let's have 3 co-pilots, or maybe whatever, bigger regions, and then we customize them based on the use case. Now, we know in the US, they spend X. In the UK, the spend usually is this. So target the answers there, because it's more, by experience, what I've seen so far, is more difficult to customize one co-pilot on a variety of a large variety of complex queries that can go in many different directions than having 3 smaller ones. And it might be a little different in the setup, the process, the tokens. This thing need tokens basically to run, but it's still, in the grand scheme of things, if you have a multinational, it shouldn't be an issue having 3 co-pilots or 4. But yeah, that's a great question, and that's, I think, what I would do: separate things and inform them differently.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, because I think it's useful, and it's kind of given me quite a lot of information and stuff as well, because I think it's been a while that we've been kind of talking about it. I've seen the content that you're sharing, but I suppose conversational search, because it still feels like it's something for the future rather than now. But then again, I'm reflecting on my own behavior. I'll probably be using ChatGPT on a daily basis. If you search on Google right now, the top of your feed usually has an AI response before you kind of go through the list. So I suppose,
yeah, in terms of conversational, I mean, there's a bit of statistics here. So, for example, already in 2020, they say, well, in terms of travel and hospitality, already a quarter of companies use chatbots to enable users to ask questions. So this has been going on for a while. And 74% of companies that introduce chatbots as part of their customer service strategy are very satisfied with the results. So the feedback from users is very good in general.
Yeah. And it's going to be, because it's going to become more and more prevalent as more and more people are using it. We're at that next shift in terms of kind of the way people are behaving, the way people are kind of, the search is changing. And as you mentioned yourself, it's going to become easier to search with your voice rather than typing. And I think, the adoption of technology is going to change the way that we interact with the different tools at our disposal.
Yeah, and also the input, the better. I'm sure all of you, I mean, you guys, and also you, Jay, in the audience, me as well, have interacted with a poor co-pilot or chatbot where you go, no, speak to agent, I want this. But that happens when either, I mean, fine, you can have an edge question which is not covered, fair enough, and then there should be a person to speak. But for the most part, this happened when the training or the content you have available to interact with was not as good as it could have been. So it's always down to the how much you refine things, and again, content strategy. Because if you ask something to the copilot, the copilot can learn about the content you have. You say, hey, you learn, you answer only based on what I have on my blog, what I have on my websites, to the questions of my users. Don't say anything else. You can be very, very precise. And then you will, hey, look, we have this example from our blog on the project, or we have this customer. So you go back on your website. So increases time on site as well. So engagement. And again, the better you do your training there and the content, the better it is, because people, they came to you, they want something. It's insurance, software, projects, landscaping, whatever. So give them what they're answering. And it's always been like that, right? If you don't give users what they want, they bounce off and they go back to the search. Always like that.
That's it. No, that's brilliant. Okay, I think that's all my questions done. What I'll do is I'll make sure to kind of link to kind of Rocky and make sure everybody's got that kind of information and stuff available to them. We're filming this ahead of Christmas, although this is going to go live next week after Christmas. So